What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another live post-game show on my channel. My name is Josh Finn of ShowMeFootball.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs, ArrowheadAddict.com as well. Forgot to mention. Kansas City Chiefs win. Another ugly game versus the Cleveland Browns to move to 13-1 on the regular season. They won by a final score of 21-7. And guys, it's a little strange because even though the Kansas City Chiefs had their largest margin of victory today that they've had this regular season, it felt like maybe the worst game that they played. And this might be the worst that I've felt coming out of a Chiefs game this year. And yeah, they've had problems. And I've tried not to be the downer this year. You guys know that. You guys that have been following me for a while, I've tried not to be the downer that says, hey, this team just doesn't have it. You know, I'm not going to invest in getting freaked I'm just not going to get freaked out over the way they play in the regular season. I thought, last season taught us all that the regular season means nothing. We're just over analyzing it because the Kansas City Chiefs don't care about the regular season. They're just trying to get to the playoffs. While winning these games by razor-thin margins. That's all they care about, win and then move on. And typically I have felt that way this year, but I don't know if I can keep ignoring the way this team is playing. I don't know if I can just give them the benefit of the doubt on all of these issues that we're seeing, because it's not even necessarily that the issues are, the issues are bad. They're bad, but there's a lot more. There just feels like there's more cracks in the armor last year. Okay. Last year, the main issue was the offense and the wide receivers. They just weren't good. And we thought that was what was going to hold the Kansas City Chiefs back from winning in the Super Bowl and winning in the postseason. This year, it's quarterback play. It's the offensive line. It's left tackle play. It's the cornerback too. It's stuff all over. And it's stuff that adds up to where you get performances like today where, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs won by multiple scores for the first time this season, but something just doesn't feel right. And I just kind of threw this together before I hopped on to go live to talk about this game, but let's start with this. Andy Reid had an awful game. We have to start with Andy Reid. Andy Reid coached an awful game today for the Kansas City Chiefs. First of all, they completely abandoned the run, right? The Kansas City Chiefs completely abandoned the run, and it led to Mahomes getting hit over and over and over again, and now Mahomes is injured. He left this game in the fourth quarter with an ankle injury. He had a noticeable limp coming off the field. Carson Wentz came in for the injured Patrick Mahomes, and I blame that completely on Andy Reid. And not only did they abandon the run, but the play in which Mahomes got injured, it was a fourth down in which the Kansas City Chiefs elected to go for it, and they should not even have messed with it, especially if you were at that game or watching the game. If you're Andy Reid on the sidelines, you have to think to yourself in that moment, would I like to go for it here? Yeah, but my quarterback keeps taking a bunch of hits. It's like this isn't safe for him. Andy Reid didn't care. He went out and said, we're going for this. And not only did they go for it, but they dropped back to pass, despite the fact that Mahomes was getting pressured all day, was getting hit all day. That is on Andy Reid. You had to run the ball in this game, and they were actually pretty good with it in the first half. Kareem Hunt opened up the game looking really good, and then for some reason it just stopped working. And then I thought the times in which they chose to run the ball just were far too obvious for the Cleveland Browns defense. It was the second long run that has killed this team in the past, where they get 1 or 2 yards and it doesn't go anywhere. And then all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard and it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12. And those just are not favorable down and distance situations to be putting yourself in. And we know that this offensive line and this passing offense hasn't been good enough this year to consistently ask them to convert in those situations. And then there's Patrick Mahomes, and he got hurt today, and we're going to wait to see what the diagnosis is on him. We know that it's an ankle injury, but how severe, and is it a high ankle sprain? That's going to That's going to tell us a lot in determining how long he's going to be out, if he's out at all, or what we can expect him to look like going forward. Is it just a normal ankle sprain? Maybe it's a week or two thing, or is this a high ankle sprain? Is this something that maybe is going to affect him for the rest of the year? There's a big difference there. And what really sucks too with Andy Reid and his incompetence leading to Mahomes getting injured is we know the Kansas City Chiefs are playing 3 football games in less than 2 weeks, essentially. And now you have a banged up Mahomes. And Mahomes just had a quote about this. He sent a message in a press conference earlier this week. He sent a message to the NFL by saying, this is not safe. This is not healthy. And then what do you know? He gets hurt. And the Chiefs are slated to play at least 2 more football games now in less than 2 weeks. Not good. Not good, guys. Simple as that. I should also mention now, since I got a few of you in here already, if you're here, I appreciate you being here since there's so many Chiefs. Sorry about that. StreamYard just dropped me out there for a second. I don't know what happened. But for those of you that are here, please like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And then also, please comment, leave your questions down below. I'll be sure to get to them today since I am riding solo in this one. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes being injured, not good. Chiefs playing a lot of games in like 10, 11 days, so not good. But Mahomes, his performance, let's talk a little bit more about that. He was 19 of 38 for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. And while the stats won't tell you that Patrick Mahomes played one of the worst games of his career today, statistically, it's not one of the worst games of his career. He's had worse games, but this maybe was one of his worst performances. It is completely gone. There is no accuracy on the deep ball from Patrick Mahomes. He was sailing passes on Travis Kelce, on Xavier Worthy when they were wide open. He should have been picked off at least 3 times today, but got lucky because the Browns DBs have bricks for hands. Juan Thornhill, there's a nod to you, because he dropped at least a couple of them. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how that gets fixed. We keep saying, hey, eventually he's going to figure it out, but what if he doesn't? We're in week 14. Maybe he doesn't get the deep ball figured out. Maybe it's not a part of this offense anymore, or right now, this season. That was bad. I mean, Mahomes sailed way too many passes today. He still cannot seem to get on the same page with Xavier Worthy. And it's funny because Carson Wentz came in relief for Patrick Mahomes there at the end, and he accurately hit a wide open Xavier Worthy, something that Mahomes can't seem to do this year. I don't get it. I don't know why they can't get on the same page. But on the note of Xavier Worthy, if we're going to say something positive, he's quietly having a really good second half of his rookie season. He had 3 rushes actually today for 30 yards and a touchdown. They called that one on the end around throw from Mahomes where Worthy raced into the end zone. Showed incredible balance on the sideline. They called that a carry and not a receiving touchdown. But he also added 6 catches for 46 yards. And he hasn't had huge plays. He hasn't had Sorry, guys. I apologize. StreamYard keeps dropping. He's doing more of the little things right. And he's making some clutch catches in situations where, he should have caught, maybe it was 2 of them. And I still think he'll clean that up. And he's been better about that as of recently, until today. So I thought we saw some good things from Xavier Worthy. Let's talk about the offensive line. Also, a comment from Jerry Lump. He says, let's face it, we are not good offensively. Reid is afraid to take chances. Yeah, we'll get to that again in a minute. I have a little bit more on Andy Reid. Decided to move Joe Thuney to left tackle, and they put Mike Caliendo in at left guard. And while Joe Tooney may be their best option at left tackle, not only does it leave you average to maybe slightly above average at left tackle, but it makes you significantly worse at left guard. And I think we saw the results of that. Now, it's the Cleveland Browns defensive line, and it's Myles Garrett, and it's Shelby Harris. The offensive line was doing Patrick Mahomes zero favors today. They did him zero favors. He was just getting hurt over and over and over again. And they were giving them chip help too on the or at the left tackle spot and on the edges. They were giving him chip help, right? And the offensive line still just could not handle what the Cleveland Browns were giving them. But that's also why you have to run the ball and why I'm pissed at Andy Reid in the game that he called today. And he went away from the run when sometimes you just have to hand the ball off a couple times to make sure that Mahomes is okay. And also, you have to do it to take time off the clock. You know, everyone wants to have a stress-free Chiefs game again. I want to have a stress-free Chiefs game, but this one was never quite stress-free because the Chiefs were kind of on the border between putting the Browns away and letting them back in it. It was never fully put away. And that's why, you know, you still saw the starters out there. And, you know, I've been saying that too. Everyone wants to excuse these Chiefs regular season performances where they look, are you really sitting here bitching about 13-1? No, I'm not sitting here bitching about 13-1. But wouldn't you like to put an opponent away every once in a while so that you don't have to leave the starters in for the entire game? So things like what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the fourth quarter don't happen. That is the larger point that I'm making coming out of this game. If you wouldn't screw around for so long against teams like the 3-11 Cleveland Browns, then Patrick Mahomes wouldn't. And guys, I apologize for the lag because it looks like I'm getting comments too saying there's a little bit of lag. I apologize. I don't know what's going on today with my internet. But hopefully it doesn't ruin the stream too much. So yeah, just malpractice today from Andy Reid. And then Jerry Lump, and I'm sure this is kind of what your comment was referencing, the end of the first half debacle in which at first the offense was going to go for it. It was 4th and 1, right? 3rd and 1, they run it. Kareem Hunt doesn't get it, although it looked like he got it. Andy Reid leaves his guys out on the field to go for it. And then the Cleveland Browns call a timeout. And then after the timeout, Andy Reid decides we're going to kick it. Why does the other team calling a timeout make you change your mind? What is the thought process there? And then Harrison Butker gets sent out to kick it. Special teams, you know, the long snapper and the placeholder are late getting onto the field. And then Harrison Butker misses it from 29 yards, I believe it was. That is the result you get, Andy, for being a coward. You should have went for it. But also, let's talk about another thing that's really hurting this Chiefs team right now is rushing players back from injury and trying to patch things together in spots in which you are weak. Because either, you know, there's injuries or you didn't do enough there in the offseason to add to the position, whatever it is. Kicker, Harrison Butker, this is his first week coming back from IR. He was limited in practice all week, by the way. They released Matthew Wright. He's not even on the roster anymore. He wasn't an option for this game even. And Harrison Butker goes out there and misses and drops to that same knee that he just had surgery on. He shouldn't be out there. And I said at the end of the Chargers game last week that I was going to eviscerate Andy Reid if Matthew Wright had missed that field goal, and he nearly did. Andy Reid got lucky at the end of that one. He let the game come down to his 3rd string kicker, and I said to Michael Darcy in our post-game show, I said, you know what? Let's maybe be a little bit more aggressive here, make this field goal a little bit easier instead of just kneeing it out or running it up the gut for no gain, because this is your 3rd string kicker. It's not a guarantee guarantee that he makes it. It's never a guarantee that it's made, even if it was Harrison Butker, like we saw today, who's coming off of injury. Andy Reid got lucky in that situation. This week, he should have went for it. He should have been more aggressive. Instead, he decided to chicken out of going for it on fourth down after the other team called the timeout. In that situation, going to your kicker that's fresh off IR just doesn't make any sense. Putting that situation in his hands doesn't make any sense. If it was fully healthy, Harrison Butker, sure, take the points. The Browns are going to get the ball back at halftime. You don't want to give them any momentum. Sure, kick it. But in that particular situation, they should have just went for it. Stargo says for now, he is playoff. Andy is different. I'm a little bit confused by your comment, Stargo. I'm sure there was a typo in there. I apologize for not being able to interpret that. But criticisms of Andy Reid, because I'm assuming that's what it is a criticism of Andy Reid. I would say they're warranted after this game. Certainly. I mean, he did not call a good game today. He put his quarterback in danger. He relied on a kicker fresh off of IR at the end of the first half. Refused to run the ball. I don't know what you do about offensive line. It's kind of what I was talking about earlier before I went off on a different tangent. I don't. Sure, DJ Humphries, hopefully he's ready to go next week. I guess they've given up on Wande Morris. That was indicative of the fact that they moved Joe Tooney to left tackle. I mean, he was fine at the beginning, but as the game went on, I mean, he started to get bullied a little bit as well as the rest of the offensive line. You just got to hope that this unit gets as healthy as possible and that they start playing serious football at some point. I'm hoping that we see it at some point, but I don't know. Everyone wants to say that these performances, these lackadaisical performances on offense are on purpose, or like we're not allowed to complain about it because the Kansas City Chiefs are 13-1. But I'm a little bit indifferent. I think, if he were to play serious football, if you were to be a little bit more aggressive on offense, if you called the game correctly, if Patrick Mahomes were to play better and hit on some of these deep throws and you were able to put the Cleveland Browns away, we are not talking about any of this. I'm not complaining. Mahomes doesn't get injured. You put the Browns away before the end of the third quarter. Like, that should have been what happened today. But it didn't, because the Kansas City Chiefs keep giving us unserious performances. And then some of the personnel decisions, it's just, and this is why I say, they're playing on serious football, because there was also a short yardage situation today. I believe it was 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. I remember now. It was 3rd and 2. They hand the ball off to Isaiah Pacheco, gets stuffed. And I'm thinking to myself, Kareem Hunt has been damn near automatic in short yardage this year. Why is Isaiah Pacheco the guy in that situation? Isaiah Pacheco is not a very good short yardage back. He averaged 2.5 yards per carry today. Kareem Hunt was better than him. I don't get it. Now, that's my spiel on the offense. Just everything looks out of sorts still. It was their largest margin of victory this year, yet it felt like the worst game they played. It felt extremely ugly. Some of the decision-making from Mahomes, that's something else I wanted to mention too, and I just remembered, there was a play where he had Xavier Worthy, it was in the first half, streaking wide open for what should have been an easy first down on 3rd down, and instead Mahomes decides, I'm going to wind this up and throw it deep to Justin Watson in double coverage. I understand Mahomes wants to get the deep ball going, but you have to take what the defense is giving you there. And also, why don't you just target the better receiver? Xavier Worthy's better than Justin Watson. Just get it to Worthy. And odds are him, with his speed, with the yak potential there, he could have made just as big of a play as Justin Watson. And then there was another play, exact same situation, but this was in the 3rd quarter. Xavier Worthy streaking across underneath, and Mahomes decides to chuck it to Juju Smith-Schuster, who was triple covered. Come on, Mahomes. What are you doing? Mahomes still can't see defensive linemen on screen passes. I don't know why that continues to be a weakness for him. Nearly threw a pick 6 to Myles Garrett. And that's what's so frustrating, is like this game should have been put away. Should have been put away by 3rd quarter. And they just play unserious football. I mean, there's no other way to say it. If they would play better, in the early portions of the game, there would be nothing to complain about. But they're just not intent on doing that, I guess. You have to make better decisions. You have to execute better. And I wonder when we're going to see that. They also had a few chances to put this game away if D-Hop would come up with a contested catch for once. D-Hop came here being known as the king for contested catches, right? And it feels like he never makes them anymore now that he's with the Kansas City Chiefs. I know he had that one in his first game against the New Orleans Saints, but since then it seems like he's dropped some catches that he typically makes. I was going to say easy catches. They're easy for D-Hop, not necessarily easy, generally speaking. But, yeah, just really disappointed in the offense still. Now, defensively, I have some positive things to say, so let's get into that. The pass rush showed life in this one. George Karlaftis had multiple sacks. Chris Jones blew up several plays. Omenihu got in there with the sack. Treshawn Wharton continues to have a really good season. I mean, the pass rush came alive today. Now, it's the Cleveland Browns. Based off that game, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I haven't looked at, sacks given up, who's leading the league in that category. I haven't looked it up before doing this live stream, but I'm going to assume the Cleveland Browns have not been great this year protecting the quarterback. But still, there's been a lot of teams this year that have not been great at protecting the quarterback, and Kansas City still could not get any pressure. They got tons of pressure today, and they created turnovers. That was an area in which they came to this game really, really weak. They had only forced 10 turnovers all year. They had 6 of them today. Jaden Hicks had his first career interception. Trent McDuffie had his first career interception. Omenihu looks to really be coming on, and I'm glad to see that. He had a really nice sack on Jameis Winston. And I want to say Jameis Winston fumbled it, but he recovered his own fumble. Omenihu does a great job of just getting his arm in there and trying to swat the ball out whenever he's coming around that edge. I mean, he's a scary dude turning that corner. But it's good to see. I had questions about how good he would look coming off of that ACL injury, if we would even see him look anything close to what he was last year. So far, in his first few games back, he's been everything that he's advertised himself as, on social media during this whole recovery process. He's looked great. And he has given them a boost. Still disappointed about Joshua Uche being made inactive when you have Mike Dana out there with a 6% pressure rate. That's pretty bad. And George Karlaftis, while it was nice to see him get a couple of sacks, they were mostly coverage sacks, mostly effort sacks, and that's fine. I'll still give him credit. You'd rather see him finish the play than not, but you need just a little bit more juice off the edge, and I feel like Joshua Uche could give you that, but for some reason, Spags refuses to use his athletes off the edge, and that's one big gripe that I still have with him. Injury-wise, Chamari Connor got injured. Scary looking play. Came up a little bit dizzy. I don't know how long he'll be out. I'm hoping it's not very long. He struggled recently, but firstly, you hope he's okay, but also you just can't afford any more injuries in the secondary, because then you see more Najee Johnson. And the one explosive play on offense that the Browns had in this game, Jerome Ford, huge touchdown run. Najee Johnson, cornerback 2. And this is kind of the point that I'm getting to. That cornerback 2 spot remains an issue because Najee Johnson got blocked off the screen by Jerry Jeudy on that Jerome Ford touchdown run. Nick Bolton was a little bit at fault as well. Christian Roland Wallace took a really bad angle. These are not cornerbacks that should be seeing the field. And that's why I hope Steven Nelson is able to get on the field as quickly as possible. Yeah, it's that cornerback 2 spot, man, because there was also nobody covering Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I know he's had a really good season. He's had a resurgence with the Cleveland Browns since coming over from Denver, but still, he shouldn't look like that. Get Steven Nelson on the damn field, man. That's what I'm saying. They held the Cleveland Browns to 7 points. Cleveland Browns aren't great, but I want to say that is the lowest amount of points that they've been held to this season. So you can't really fault the defense for this one. The offense wasn't good. They also didn't seem too intent on taking time off the clock, which is another reason you have to run the football, and Andy Reid didn't do that. There was Nate Taylor of The Athletic tweeted this, but the Kansas City Chiefs had an offensive drive today that only took 15 seconds off the clock. And they went 3 and out, 3 straight passes. Mahomes took a hit, I think, on every single drop back. Andy Reid, wake the hell up. Pull your head out of your you-know-what. And he deserves to get flamed by media after this game and reporters. What were you doing? What were you thinking? What were you thinking on going for it on that 4th down late in the game with your quarterback who's been taking a beating all day and an offensive line that is not in a position to succeed right now? And it's not a good matchup for them to begin with. I really hope Mahomes is okay. We don't need another nagging ankle injury heading into the postseason. And I really don't know. I'm really hoping that the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers both lose this week, because if they do, the Chiefs will lock up the 1 seed. And if they don't, then it still forces Mahomes to play, whereas Carson Wentz could just, be in there for the rest of the season. Not that that's what I want to see, but if it comes down to Mahomes being healthy by the postseason, that might have to be what you do. So regardless, it does seem like that Carson Wentz will be taking more reps in practice this week, because I don't know what the deal is going to be on Mahomes. I mean, I'm sure he's going to want to go out there and play, but man, I don't know. Just a stupidly awful game by Andy Reid today. That it's just I'm disgusted with the way he called this game. Mahomes' performance wasn't even great. It's hard to put all the blame on Mahomes. He's out there, he's pressing, but it was sickening to see the way that Andy Reid handled that today. So those are my thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs 21-7 victory over the Cleveland Browns. It's whatever, guys. I'm going to have a lot more this week with Michael Darcy of KC Sports Report. Otherwise, we would have done something live tonight on this game, but unfortunately, he's not available. We might do a live Q&A on both of our channels tomorrow night, so be on the lookout for that. And then I'm also going to continue to pump out content this week, and there's going to be a lot to talk about with Mahomes being injured and everything like that. So be on the lookout. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Hit that notification bell. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more. But yeah, with all that being said, we'll see you in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel, and check out showmefootball.com for more.